Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Excelsia College's webinar for this afternoon. Pleased to have so many people dialing in from right around the country. Before I get started, just a bit of an introduction. We are here for the next 45 minutes or so, if you can spare that time to learn a little bit about Excelsior and hear a little bit about this interesting topic. And there'll be a recording available, so if you have a friend or a colleague that misses the opportunity to dial in today, you'll be able to do that. So if you have any questions throughout today's session, please use the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen to type in the question, and we'll come to those at the end of the session, so I'll make sure that we leave some time for that. So, I might do a few little bits of introduction. So my name is Amelia Wilson, and anyone that's dialed into one of these webinars before will probably have heard from me, but if not, nice to e-meet you. I'm the Partnerships Manager here at Excelsia College Online, which means I work with lots of schools and groups and industry bodies and businesses to promote postgraduate study and further learning, working at how to make sure that our staff have the opportunity to go and study if they want to, that sort of work. And today we're delighted to have a guest speaker, Dr. Peter Stiles from Excelsia College, talking about Christian schools as leaders in Australia's education landscape. Peter's the acting head of education here at Excelsior. He trained as a primary school teacher at Armidale Teachers College and took several other degrees in English and education, and finally completed his PhD at the University of Glasgow in 1995. Peter's a published academic and also has published a number of creative works and has extensive experience teaching in primary, secondary and tertiary settings, having held senior positions in schools, both state schools and private schools. And he's a member of the Australian College of Educators and also happens to be a Justice of the Peace for New South Wales. So welcome, Peter.
Thanks, Amelia.
So what we might do is, I know quite a few of you are teachers and have just finished up with a busy day of teaching, so hopefully this is a nice welcome break for your afternoon, bit of learning, something interesting. What we might do is hand over to Peter to talk about Excelsia College and then provide some insight into the place of the Christian school as a leader in Australia's education landscape. And then I'll jump back in at the end and have a little chat with you about the online degrees and what it means to study online here at Excelsia College. I know a number of you have made inquiries about that in the past, so keen to kind of give you a bit more information. And then at the end we'll come through to those questions that you're typing into the chat box. So over to you, Peter.
Well, thanks, Amelia. If you can bring up the next slide about Excelsior, that would be good. Yeah, well, welcome everyone. It's lovely to chat with you this afternoon. People all over Australia, fabulous. For those that you don't know about Excelsior College, it was formerly the Wesley Institute, established in 1983. It's been a long-standing entity, higher education entity within Sydney. It now has a strong partnership with Indiana Wesleyan University in the US, one of the largest Christian universities there, and you'll see Indiana Wesleyan advertised in any issue of Christianity Today if you have one at hand. IWU, as it's affectionately referred to, is a big player in the Christian higher education environment in the US. We started out as a small creative arts college and offering degrees in music and drama, and was originally dance at one stage, but it's broadened its base now to include counselling and education and more recently business as well. So we offer a number of degrees within the School of Education, including a Master of Teaching degrees to prepare teachers for teaching within schools in Australia. It's accredited all over Australia, and more recently we introduced the Master of Education degree, which we're talking about today a little later. And our degrees, our Master of Teaching degree and our Master of Education degree, are predominantly offered online. The Master of Education is definitely offered totally online. The Master of Teaching, obviously, you need to do the practicums, and there are some other parts of that degree where you need to attend. But we've prepared hundreds of teachers over the last decade or so to teach. And most of those teachers go into faith-based environments, school environments, but not exclusively. We have a lot of teaching in state schools as well, and overseas as well. We have a very good relationship with the Christian school movement, CSA schools, particularly within Australia, and a lot of our graduates for our Master Teaching degree go into CSA schools, but other schools as well. So that's a bit of a background to Excelsior College. We're situated here in right beside Macquarie University in Macquarie Park, which is really a nice, leafy, well-serviced part of Sydney, if you know it. So we're very blessed to have such a nice environment to work in. We have students here on campus, of course. The drama and music students take their degree. They come in during the day, so it has a nice vibe to it because of their presence. Okay, now and today I'm talking to you about why I think Christian schools are leaders in the Australian education landscape. So maybe if you move on to the next slide now, Amelia. Thank you. So I've got these are in no particular order, but I think to me, they are significant reasons why Christian schools are leaders within the education landscape in Australia. Well, the first one to me is so patently obvious that in an era of postmodern uncertainty, Christian schools have a central belief system that undergirds all that they do. This promotes confidence and a sense of direction and purpose. I have worked in schools where there is not a particularly strong sense of purpose and direction, a sort of aimless quality. I've worked in state schools like that, but I don't find that to be true of Christian schools, because undergirding all Christian schools is this commitment to the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, and that is what keeps us together as a community, as schools and in churches, and gives us a basis for being positive and certain about what we do. So that, I think, is a really healthy thing, and of course, when you are a Christian, that sense of confidence and sense of direction is a real bonus. So that's the first point. I think that's an important point, because there is a lot of uncertainty out there, and it's so obvious if you mix with students who are attending secular contexts. They often express that to me. I get that comment a lot. So, and related to that, Christian schools have a heightened sense of the value of the individual, I believe, because Christians believe that all people, all children included, are unique and made in the image of God, and that, I think, fosters a learning environment where all can flourish. We have a high view of mankind, which comes from the fact that we believe as Christians that we are made in the image of God, and therefore everybody, regardless of their ability, their intelligence, their capability, is a person of value and understood to be valued both in our eyes, hopefully, and in the eyes of God. So I think that's a really strong feature of Christian schools, and I go to lots of Christian schools and I see it all the time. I'm not saying it's not true of many state schools, but it is probably heightened within Christian schools. I think that servant leadership is highly valued quality in Christian schools. Teachers are encouraged to model an approach to leadership that demonstrates humility and genuine concern for others. If you look at the work of Robert Greenleaf, particularly, who's been around for a while, but what he talks about is quite true and still holds true. The best approach to leadership is one whether you believe that you are using your gifts in a servant capacity to bring glory to God and to help others on their journey through life. And so I think that's one of the things I notice about Christian schools, that people will always go the extra mile to show that they want to be there in a serving capacity for the children and the community that they're working in, and that's a lovely thing to see and witness. Okay, we'll try the next slide now, Amelia. Thank you. Now, in Christian schools, I think one thing that I've noticed is that academic achievement is encouraged. There's sometimes a factor within Australian society, the tall poppy syndrome, and sometimes academic achievement isn't encouraged or seen as a good thing. But I think for Christian schools, they see intelligence as a gift that can bring glory to God, and whatever that gift happens to be. And successful Christian schools or institutions where students can excel. And it's an individual thing, isn't it? So, it's a matter of identifying that particular gift, academic gift, and using it for God's glory. I always think of C.S. Lewis, who early in his life recognized that he was never going to be a wonderful sportsman, and certainly not, and that he couldn't do mathematics. He acknowledged that. In fact, he only got into Oxford because he had done war service. He couldn't do maths, and yet he used his gifts, his academic gifts, for the benefit of so many people. And it's left the most amazing legacy. And it was really that recognition by one of his tutors that he had just before he went to Oxford, Kirkpatrick, who brought out the best in Lewis and pointed him in the right direction in a way that was quite extraordinary. So, I think that's one of the things that Christian schools are good at. They value academic achievement and see that as an important part of being a person that can bring glory to God in what they do. And it sort of attached to that point is that Christian schools foster the individual gifts of children. I've worked in one particular school where this was done so very well, where sporting skills, leadership ability, particular gifts, whatever they happen to be, and I've given examples there off the top of my head, chess, gardening, singing, are all given equal weight and are all affirmed accordingly. And this fits with Gardner's concept of multiple intelligence, that people are gifted in different ways. And the old idea that intelligence could be measured by one area, and that would be what you live with for the rest of your life, has gone, as you know. And there are many types of intelligence. On this particular school I was working in, on the executive, could do this so well. They wouldn't just elevate the first 15 rugby team, the first 11 cricket. They would also affirm everyone within that school, whether they happen to be a captain of chess or helped in the garden or whatever. We're in the music program. And I think that's a really nice thing about Christian schools, that they do that. They foster individual gifts of children. And that's a beautiful thing to see when it works out that way. Students in Christian schools are encouraged to develop an awareness of the marginalised and disadvantaged. It's, I think, part of our Christian mission as Christian schools, to be faithful to the gospel in that sense and to help the marginalised and the disadvantaged. And the research shows that faith-based schools actually do this in a better way than most schools. Many faith-based schools, I'm sure some of yours do the same thing, take mission trips to poorer communities overseas to help the students and are aware of their responsibility for others. We had Dr. Beth Green here earlier this year from Carter's Institute in Canada, and she showed us some of the research that she'd undertaken. It certainly pointed in that direction, that Christian schools are very involved in helping the marginalised and disadvantaged. And most schools that I'm connected with do run mission trips overseas for the benefit of students, their personal growth, and for the benefit of the people they go to. All right, Amelia, we'll do the next slide, please. Thank you. I think that Christian schools are wonderful places in the sense that they prepare students for later life. They give their students a worldview that will carry them through the challenges of academic life in a secular university and on into their careers. I think Christian schools are good at that. I think there's a lot of difficulty. Some people have a lot of difficulty when they get into a secular university to do their degrees, in the sense that they struggle with who they are and what they should be thinking and who they should listen to. And I think the Christian schools do a good job of preparing students to feel confident that they can go through, because a lot of people obviously will study in secular environments. Not everyone can come to a college like Excelsior as an undergraduate. Pity, but that's the Australian situation. Not everyone can do that, so they need to attend state universities, and many of them, obviously they're fine institutions as well, but it's just, I think, better that they're prepared within a Christian school environment for later life. I'm a strong believer in that, and that will carry them through. I think another nice thing about Christian schools is that there's a very strong connection between school, often a very strong connection between school, church and home. In many Christian schools, it gives students a solid platform from which to exercise confident leadership in their own communities. Some of your schools no doubt have a strong connection to a denomination or a particular church community. And I see that generally, not always, but generally as a desirable thing, that people feel there's cohesion, there's a sense of oneness across the board for them, both in their school life, their life at church, and their life at home. Hopefully they can have a firm foundation for the way they act and what they believe to be true through their lives. And finally, I think that Christian schools give opportunities for career advancement for young educators, probably more than is offered in the state system. It's certainly true for Christian young people who become school teachers. I think that they have a greater opportunity. We have a lot of our students completing our master teaching degree who go straight into Christian schools when they've graduated, having done their final field experience in a Christian school. The Christian school snapped them up. A good example of that last year when two students went to a Christian school here in Sydney, and at the end of their third prac, they were just snapped up by that school and were employed the following year. It doesn't always happen, but it often happens nevertheless. And there seems to me to be a high demand for Christian teachers in what is really a burgeoning Christian school movement. And certainly one of the reasons why we love the MEd is because it will provide, I think, for teachers as they go into, who are in Christian schools, to exercise leadership within their schools. So it's a good thing and something we totally endorse. So I hope those points, and there are many other things that could be said about Christian schools, but in a world where there is uncertainty and where in many cases our mission within the church environment is flagging, I think the Christian schools are certainly picking up the tab and offering an environment which is just wonderful for people to grow and understand the gospel and understand something that is of great value to them, that will carry them through life. So, Amelia, that will do on that, I think, and you can move on to do what you want to do now.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Peter, and thanks so much for sharing the insight. I can see there's a number of questions popping through, which is great to see, and we've had people dial in from a number of different Christian schools and from some other organisations as well. So really keen to hear your questions and your thoughts. If you've got a question and you haven't popped it in the chat box, pop it in because we will get to that at the end. Now, just quickly, I know that a couple of you have already inquired about our degrees, but I just wanted to provide a little bit more information about what it is that we can do to further your own career through study at Excelsia College. So Excelsia College Online offers the Master of Education. So that is for teachers who want to further develop their education profession, to advance their career. You might be thinking about taking on a principal or headmaster or headmistress role. You might be looking to specialise in teaching and learning, something like that. That degree can be done in as little as 16 months, so very much designed for the person that's working full-time in a school, has a busy life, but still wants to get ahead in their career. It's a total of 8 units, and you'll take 1 unit at a time. I'll come back to that in just a moment. All the learning in the Master of Education is practical, skill-based learning. You learn from academics including Peter Stiles and a number of others on the faculty, and really take the opportunity to apply that in your teaching that very week that you're learning it. So very much applied to what you're doing on a daily basis. We do have 2 specialisations within the Master of Education, specialisations in either leadership or teaching and learning. Student Enrolment Advisor team would be more than happy to talk through what's involved in each of those specialisations and help you work out which one's more suited to your career goal. So if you're interested, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about that. The other degree that we offer in our accelerated online mode is our Master of Business Administration. So again, it's an accelerated degree designed for people that are working full-time. We've had a number of people come through from Christian schools who are working in support and administrative roles, or perhaps you're a headmaster or headmistress and you've already got a couple of other teaching qualifications and a Master of Education, but you're looking at how do I run this school as a business and how do I get that business knowledge. We've also had people from big corporations, from not-for-profits that have a Christian mission and everything else. So really nice broad mix of students will be studying in there. Again, it's practical learning, and our academics have a wealth of experience that they'll be sharing with you. There's a real emphasis within this degree on values-based knowledge and ethics in the workplace, and how does our Christian worldview influence how we operate in business and industry and in a school. The degree is a total of 16 units, and depending on your work and education experience, you might get advanced standing and bring that down to as little as 16 or as many as 32 months. Again, studying 1 unit at a time. We do, with the Master of Business Administration, offer 2 entry and exit points. So if you're not quite sure if you want to commit to a full MBA, you might just be thinking, I want a bit of a business foundation, so a graduate certificate of 4 units might be for you, or a bit more and you would get a graduate diploma with 8 units. And again, you could continue on to the Master after that. So you could start out with a graduate certificate and go, you know, actually this is really enjoyable, it's really helping me with my career, I want to carry on and complete the Master. But some people will just be looking for the 4 unit foundation and may come back to us in a couple of years' time after that. So with both of the online degrees, they are 100% online. So I know I've got people on the line from Outback WA, from rural New South Wales, from metropolitan Melbourne, from Sydney, from Queensland. Doesn't matter where you are, it's 100% online, so you don't ever need to set foot on our lovely campus at Macquarie Park, though you are most welcome to do so if you like. It's really flexible, so again, log in, log out whenever suits you throughout the week, throughout the day. If you've got time before school, if you've got time after school, if every Saturday you want to do study, we'll be there to do that. The online network, so you'll be able to build connections with students throughout the online learning environment. So you'll get to sort of comment with other students about this week's reading, or watch a video, make a comment about how you're doing that particular thing in your school or organisation. So really building that network, even though, like I said, you might be on opposite sides of the country. While studying with Excelsia College Online, you also have a Student Success Advisor who's allocated to you for the life of your degree. That's a non-academic support person that will help make sure that you're on track and that you have all the tools that you need to be successful. So if you haven't been at uni for a long time, you're a bit nervous about how to access the library or the learning environment or what have you, your Student Success Advisor will provide all the tools that you need to be successful. Couple of other things. So the quality of the coursework is designed for online, but it's equivalent to an on-campus degree, just an alternative way of getting it done while you're working full-time. We do offer fee help if you're eligible, and we have 6 intakes each year. So you can start, we've just had people start in July, the next one is September, November, January, March and May. So it does mean you can take a holiday, or if you've got something busy on, you can take a break for just one study period, come back in 7 or 8 weeks later. So looking forward to hearing from everybody. And as I said, our team of student enrolment advisors are really experts in studying online and how to make this work for you. So give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Just another little thing that I can offer you. If you've got a workplace or a school that's interested in running a session covering content like the one we've done today, or perhaps one of our previous webinars, which were lifelong learning and Christian leadership. If you want to do something like that in your school for free, over afternoon tea or online, please reach out to me. We'd be more than happy. We're running a couple over the next few months for schools who want to offer that as an opportunity for staff to kind of get involved and learn something new and talk about the degree and what have you. So if that's of interest to you, be more than happy to have a chat. Give me an email or a phone call. We can work that out. And we might come back to some of those questions. So I can see one question here for you, Peter, based on that you've covered. So the question is, the strength of purpose will be vital. So the strength of purpose of a Christian school will be vital, but may also be highly contested in an increasingly intolerant secular society. How do we keep our gospel focus when this may lead to a marginalisation from mainstream culture and may be a risk to the ongoing viability of the school? Lots to unpack in that one. Did you have some thoughts on
that? Yeah, I do. I mean, I think personally it's a fine balance. I think we have to be purposeful. We have to have a strong sense of confidence about what we're doing. I have an undoubted, deep-seated sense of confidence that if you ultimately, if you uphold the name of Jesus Christ, then you will triumph in the end. I have no doubt about that. I think it depends on your Christology, that point of view. But that doesn't mean, of course, that we're not gentle in the way that we do that. I think we need to be gentle and understanding that people don't always have the insight that we have. And we'll have other views, other religious views and other views about the world in which we live and what's desirable and what's not. So I think, yeah, we just have to walk that fine line. We actually have students here who come from Hindu and Buddhist background as well. So we have to be obviously respectful of their beliefs. And we have people from right across the spectrum of Christian traditions. And obviously we have to be fair and accommodating of their right to free expression and what they believe as well. So I think it's true that we are, it seems to me, from what I can judge from the media, increasingly marginalised as Christian believers, but and certainly recent events and recent years have not been good for the Christian position, but I still think we know what's right and we've shown it to be true. We believe in the Word of God and we know we can move forward with confidence. But I don't think it's going to be easy in the years to come, really, in many ways. I think this pressure on us will continue, but we just have to show love. I think it's love that will triumph in the end in these situations. No, it's certainly not suggesting that we should be arrogant. There's no call for that, and that would be quite unchristian to adopt an arrogant position about what we believe. But I think we also need to, while we're not being arrogant, we need to be confident. I think that's what children want. They want to see in their teachers, I think, a sense of confidence, a sense of balance, and that their teachers are mature in what they believe and how they want to move forward with their classes in an educational environment. I think that's really, really important. But nevertheless, to be a person that will listen and think through ideas. Listening is such an important part of this, I think, and I notice this a lot with trainee teachers, that listening is not something that they're really particularly good at. So to teach them to listen to their students and listen to what they're saying before you respond. Some of the best people I've seen that can handle Christian apologetics have been people that don't just present their own point of view, they will listen respectfully to the point of view of other people. So, I mean, there's a broad range of issues around this area, and I don't have the ultimate answers, but I just think that ultimately love and concern for the world around us will actually triumph in the end. Anyway, I don't know if I've answered the question, but that's a fair shot, I think.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. We've got another question here. Any recommendations for specific works by Robert K. Greenleaf around servant leadership? What can we go and read?
Oh, no, well, I don't have any. I mean, if you just Google Robert Greenleaf and just look at he started the whole movement of really, he initiated the whole servant leadership movement, which has blossomed into a major, almost like an industry in the United States. So, and so, you know, he just took a biblical concept and, you know, the example of Jesus himself, and just broadened it into a leadership model, which seems to have worked really well, and particularly picked up in the United States. So, now, I don't have a particular text at hand, so I'm sorry about that, but I don't think you'd have difficulty tracking down some suitable text to study in that area.
Great.
Yeah.
We just have one more at the moment, though. Pop them in if you've got more questions, everybody. The question is, do we have research evidence to back up the claim that students from Christian schools tend to cope better at secular unis? Unfortunately, this person has seen the opposite too many times, Year 12 grads who get overwhelmed by secularism on campus.
Yeah, no, this is a very, again, another, if I was going to point you to any evidence, I'd point you to the Carter's Institute research in this area and Beth Green's work. She does a lot of analysis in that area. Yeah, I understand that dilemma, because it is a dilemma, but I think what you need to do at Christian schools, what they need to do is adequately prepare their students to confront contrary viewpoints that they don't necessarily subscribe to themselves. It's one thing to be confident in what you believe, but you have to be able to defend your position against the plethora of opposing views that are out there. And yeah, I've certainly seen that in action. People come almost unstuck when they go into secular universities, having been to a Christian school, even a Christian school. Maybe in that case they weren't adequately prepared for it. So there's a kind of balance there between Christian school becoming a hothouse environment where you're not exposed to the world, and allowing enough interchange of ideas for that person to feel comfortable that they can repudiate contrary views if they come across them. And some of those things, of course, are quite subtle. David Smith, who's in Sydney next week from Calvin College in Grand Rapids, talks a lot about the subliminal, subtle influences of things around us, including the shopping mall. I mean, it seems pretty benign, but he talks about that in one of his articles about the shopping mall having amazing influence on what we think of ourselves and how we view ourselves, and the influence that it has on children in terms of the sexualization of children. So Christian schools need to be prepared. They need to have programs in place where they can prepare children to move comfortably in a variety of situations where they're not going to be compromised or have their views damaged, or not that they certainly can. Always, it's a healthy thing to have opposing views, I think, be exposed to opposing views, because we wouldn't be normal without that. But it's really important for Christian schools, I think, to do that. Not every Christian school does it, I know that. It's not always the case. So I agree with that question, that it's a difficult call. all I can say, really.
I think we just have time for one more. So the last one is, would a teacher benefit from studying with a Christian college even if they don't work in a Christian school?
Oh, yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I worked in, I think that's true. I think they would still benefit. I, for a long time, taught in state schools here in New South Wales, and I really, I would have found it so wonderful to have had the opportunity to study in a Christian environment to prepare me to teach in state schools. I was an ISCF leader, Scripture Union leader in state schools. Thankfully, I had the wonderful blessing of being able to go to Regent College in Vancouver to study as well before I did my doctorate, and that is just such a conducive environment for anybody from any background to come in and be prepared for any area of life, including teaching. Yeah, no, it's a challenge. So just to repeat the question for me, Amelia, I just wanted to think I missed it.
The question was, would a teacher benefit from studying with a Christian college like Excelsior, even if they didn't work in a Christian school at the moment?
Yeah. I assume that question means a Christian young person, or well, I have to say that we have. I certainly think a Christian teaching in a non-Christian environment, coming into a Christian college would gain enormous benefits. If you mean a non-Christian person coming to a Christian college, well, we do have that as well. We have quite a number of people who come in here and have their eyes open to the Christian faith through the courses that they do, because all of our courses are strongly undergirded by a Christian worldview, which makes us quite unique in that sense. And in this context of higher education, well, there are other colleges that do this too, but we unashamedly undergird everything we do with a Christian worldview. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're constantly trotting out Bible verses, but we do see Jesus Christ as the center of everything that we do. We have a very high Christology, and we believe that everything is, all goodness and things of worth emanate from Jesus, and we put a very high value on the Bible, on the Scriptures. So I think a lot of people had their lives transformed by coming to Excelsia College. I taught one student, she won't mind, I'm not going to use her name, but she came to here, and one of the courses they have to do in the Master Teaching degree is a Teaching Biblical Studies course. It's part of a mandatory course in the Master Teaching degree. And she said to me one day, Peter, I have never read the Bible. I know nothing about Christianity. How am I going to do this? So it was a lovely opportunity to help her move through that course and expose her to things she had never been exposed to. And she was very appreciative, and is now a very successful teacher in London. So she's moved on and done good things. So I hope that comes near answering the question. I'm not sure if it does, but anyway.
Yeah, great. I think it does. Thanks so much for sharing your insight, Peter. And we do have another webinar coming up in around 4 weeks with Jeannie Trudell from our School of Business, talking about managing conflict at work. So if that's of interest to anyone on the line, keen to have you there, we'll send out invitations for that shortly. As I said at the beginning, this session is recorded, so feel free to send it to a friend that might have missed out on the opportunity to dial in today. And our team of enrolment advisors are really keen to talk to you if you're interested in furthering your career and education goals with Excelsia College. So reach out to us if we can help, and we'll see you next time. Thanks everybody for dialing in.
And thanks, Amelia, for hosting it. It was fantastic.
Great. Thank you. Good afternoon. Bye.
Bye now.